I've got another treat for you today. I have found a new book, and this book is called Elephants Don't Sit on Cars, and it's written by a man called David Henry Wilson. And these stories were the favourite stories of my friend, and she loved reading them, and she read them to her boys whenever they were little, and they still love them, and they're grown-up boys now and they still love them. And I started to read them, and I was just reading them by myself, and I laughed and I laughed. So I hope you like them too. It's about a little boy called Jeremy James and lots of adventures that he gets up to and things that happen to him. And this book, it's quite old. It was actually written in the year that I was born. So it's over 21 years old, this book. So the first story is called The Elephant on Daddy's Car. "Mummy," said Jeremy James, "there's an elephant sitting on Daddy's car." "Yes, dear," said Mummy, her eyes fixed on her hands, fixed on the dough, fixed on the table. "Mummy, why is the elephant sitting on Daddy's car?" "I expect it's tired, dear. It'll probably get up and go away soon." "Well, it hasn't," said Jeremy James 2 minutes later. "It hasn't got up. The car's gone down, but the elephant hasn't got up. Mummy, do you think I ought to tell Daddy?" "No, no, leave your father," said Mummy. "You know he hates being interrupted when he's working." "Daddy's watching a football match on television." "If Daddy says he's working, he's working." "Well, there's an elephant sitting on his car," said Jeremy James. Mum put the sultanas into the dough to make eyes and noses. "And the car doesn't look very happy about it," said Jeremy James. "Jeremy James," said Mummy, "elephants don't sit on cars." "Well, this one does." "Elephants don't sit on cars. If Mummy says elephants don't sit on cars, dear, then elephants don't sit on cars." "But they don't. Finish. Now go and play with your train set." Jeremy James sat on the carpet and played with his train set, and thought about the elephant on Daddy's car, and thought about how stubborn mummies can be when they want to be, and how if he was a mummy and his son said there was an elephant on Daddy's car, he would say, "What a clever boy," and "Thank you for telling me," and "Here's some money for an ice cream," instead of just "Elephants don't sit on cars." There's a picture. So there's Mummy baking and Jeremy James and the elephant sitting on Daddy's car. "Goal!" said the television in the sitting room. "Goal!" said Daddy, hard at work. And the elephant was still sitting on Daddy's car. "Mummy," said Jeremy James, for the latest development really couldn't be ignored. "Mummy, the elephant has just done its number twos all over Daddy's car." But Mummy's face merely twitched like a fly flicking elephant's ear, and she said nothing. "Gosh, and what a number two! Mummy, you should see the elephant's number two. Mummy, why do elephants do big number twos? I can't do a number two like that. Mine isn't even a thousandth as big as that. Oh, what a number two!" "Jeremy James, if you go on talking about that, I shall send you straight to bed. Now, play with your train set and let's have no more elephant talk, and certainly no more talk about number twos. Do you hear?" "Yes, Mummy." No number twos. Anyone would think that number twos were unhealthy. Only, look what happened when you didn't do a number two. Then it was, "Jeremy James, have you done your number two? You haven't done your number two? Then sit there until you have. Now, tell them an elephant's done his number two on Daddy's car, and suddenly it's rude. Why can't grown-ups make up their minds?" Jeremy James played with his train set. Jeremy James looked out of the window. The elephant was gone. Mummy, said Jeremy James. What is it now? Said Mummy, half in and half out of the oven. The elephant's gone. That was a typical grown-up word. It was for grown-ups only, and meant whatever they meant it to mean. Jeremy James had tried to use a once himself. Mummy had said, "Have you done your number 2?" at one of those times when number 2 wasn't rude. And he had replied, because that was how grown-ups got out of awkward questions like, "Will you buy me something nice today?" or "Why can't I have a toy racing car like Timothy's?" Only Jeremy James obviously didn't know how to use it because Mummy had told him to speak properly, even though he had said, perfectly properly. Daddy came out of the sitting room with his face as long as an elephant's nose. "They lost," said Daddy, "right at the end. An own goal." Then Daddy leaned on the kitchen doorpost, as he always did when he had been working, and sometimes when he was working, and watched Mummy working, presumably to make sure she was doing everything right. Jeremy James had tried leaning on the doorpost once and saying, as Daddy always ended up by saying, "Will it be long, dear?" But instead of getting Mummy's normal, he'd had a "Now don't you start," and been sent off to play with his train set, which he was sick of anyway. "Will it be long, dear?" said Daddy. Said Mummy. "Now don't you start," said Jeremy James quietly. "An own goal," said Daddy, "right at the end." "Was that goal number 2? asked Jeremy James. "I don't know what's got into that child," said Mummy. Daddy elbowed himself upright off the doorpost, took one hand out of the pocket. "Take your hands out of your pocket, Jeremy James," yawned and announced, "Maybe I'll go and clean the car." Mummy didn't say, "There won't be time before tea," although Daddy waited quite a long time for her to say that. So Daddy eventually left the kitchen, crossed the dining room, entered the hall, opened the front door, and went out of the house. Jeremy James stood at the window and wondered what new words Daddy would use. Daddy didn't use any words. Daddy's mouth fell open. Then Daddy came back into the house, opened the front door, entered the hall, crossed the dining room, and held himself up by the kitchen doorpost. "The car!" said Daddy. Then his mouth opened and shut several times as if he'd just been pulled out of the water. "The car!" He said it again. "What's the matter with it?" asked Mummy, spreading hand cream over the bread. "It's been ruined. It's ruined. It looks as if it's been completely squashed. Completely and utterly squashed." "Oh, John," said Mummy, who only called Daddy John when she was very upset or she wanted some money. "Oh, John, there isn't some sort of a dung all over it as well, is there?" "Yes," said Daddy, "there jolly well is. I've never seen anything like it either. Must have been a herd of cows dancing over the thing." "It wasn't a herd of cows," said Jeremy James. "It was an elephant. And I saw it. And I told Mummy, but she wouldn't listen." "An elephant?" said Daddy. "You saw an elephant on the car?" "Yes," said Jeremy James, "and I saw it do its number 2s as well." "Then why didn't one of you tell me?" said Mummy, and Jeremy James played with his train set. So what did you think of that story? Have you ever felt like that? Sometimes if you're trying to tell Mummy or Daddy something and you don't think they're listening at all. So that was the first story of Jeremy James. And I've got some more for those another time. Bye bye.